Hello, Sam Moser here with another video in my van build series. This one is going to be about the weight of the van and the weight added to the van from the conversion. This might not be something at the front of your mind when thinking about a van build, but it's something you should be concerned about and keep on your mind. When I weighed my van by the time the build was all said and done, I was actually a little surprised by the final weight of it, and we'll break that down. First though, why should you even care about what the total weight of your van is? Well, for a few reasons. First of all, vehicles have a max weight that they can carry. This will be referred to as the payload, or the overall vehicle plus payload weight is called the GVWR, the gross vehicle weight rating. The total weight of your conversion should never exceed that rating. Secondly, the more your van weighs, the more fuel you're going to burn. Simple as that. Throughout the time I was building my van, I never really tried to sit down and calculate what the total weight of the conversion was going to be. I figured this would just be too complex to do. And when I go back now and look at the final weight and try to add together all the materials and find out where all the weight's coming from, I still get a kind of incomplete picture. When building the van, I didn't really go out of my way to try to save weight, but whenever making a decision about something, it was always something that was on my mind. When building out the van, I tried to construct everything in ways that would be strong enough and sturdy enough to hold up to its use, but I tried to not over-construct things to unnecessarily add extra weight. And this was the big reason why I built the majority of the interior out of 1/2-inch plywood instead of 3/4-inch plywood. But with that in mind, plywood is still kind of a heavy material, and you might be able to find a lighter weight composite or other material out there. I didn't go that far down in that path. Okay, so let's go ahead and just look at the weights of the van. The empty weight of the van was 5,420 pounds. The GVWR of the 250 Transit is 9,000 pounds, so you have quite a bit of room to work with there. When my conversion was all said and done, when we had it all loaded up, when we were on the road, I went and weighed it. And when I did this, I had a full tank of gas, a full tank of water, all our gear was in there. And the final weight of my van was 8,120 pounds. So this means that my build out and everything we had packed into the van came in at around 2,700 pounds. Not bad. It was honestly a little bit heavier than I was expecting. So I wanted to try and figure out where that weight was coming from. Okay, so I went through and I tried to think of what the heaviest things in the van were, find weights for that, and sum it all up. So I know in my van that all of the plywood that went into building out everything on the interior is probably where the majority of the weight comes from. So I went through and I tallied up all the wood I bought. And this was the wood, in the quantities I purchased it. Not every single bit of all the wood ended up getting used. There's lots of offcuts and scraps that were left over at the end. So what I had was 10 sheets of 1/4-inch Baltic birch in 5x5 panels, 14 sheets of 1/2-inch Baltic birch in 5x5 panels, 1 sheet of 3/4-inch Baltic birch in a 4x8 foot panel, 3 sheets of 1/2-inch plywood 4x8 panels that were used in the subfloor. And if we total all that, those 4 categories of plywood there, we get 921 pounds. So right there, we're already at almost 1,000 pounds, which is about 1/3 of the weight. Next, I tried to figure out where the other 2/3 of the weight were. So I went through and I just picked out the rest of the things that I thought were the heaviest. So here's what I came up with. I know the butcher block countertop I used in my van is pretty heavy, and the weight of that is about 70 pounds. There's a metal partition that my partition was built around, and I estimate that's probably about 100 pounds in the sheet metal itself. I know my 100 amp hour AGM battery weighs 125 pounds. I know my water tank, when full, 25 gallons of water, that's going to be 208 pounds. My solar panels, all 3 of them together, probably about 50 pounds. The roof rack they sit on is probably about 50 pounds. The empty weight of the fridge is quite heavy. I looked up the spec for that, and it's also 50 pounds. So the trim tiers, there's kind of, past the wood, a bunch of little things that start to add up. And you might not realize how much these things are going to add up. Next here, I have a propane tank. Even a 20-pound tank when full, with the tank itself weighs 37 pounds. The Nature's Head toilet weighs 40 pounds. Past this, I was starting to run out of items that I could think of that were heavier things, and without starting to get into all the tiny things. So adding those things I just listed together, we get just over 700 pounds. And that brings the total weight now, including the wood, to 1,654 pounds. So that's already added up to quite a bit of weight, but we still have quite a bit to work with. The total weight of my van was still another 1,000 plus pounds past this weight, 2,700 pounds. So where's that additional weight come from? Well, there's a lot of things here that I didn't mention. So the rest of the building materials that I didn't try to come up with estimates for, plus all the clothes we had packed, all our cookware, the utensils, the plates, the cups, all the food we had in the fridge and in the cupboards. At the time of weighing the van, there was also 2 bicycles, plus a bunch of other gear in the back. So basically, all that stuff adds up. And I guess that's where the remainder of the weight comes from that gets me to that 2,700 pounds that I added to the van. I thought it'd be interesting and insightful to share what the final weight of the van was. I mean, I've done other videos where I've shown exactly how I built out the interior, and I've talked a lot about the materials I used in the process. And so I wanted to round that out with the final weight of everything put together. So with a final build weight of 8,120 pounds, that means I could add about 880 more pounds before I reach that gross vehicle weight rating. All right, so I hope that provides some useful data points. Remember that the more weight you put into your van, the more fuel you're gonna burn, and the more wear and tear you're gonna put on the vehicle just driving it. Thanks for watching. Bye.